Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Made in 50 pieces in 2018, this is the Massena Lab and Habring collaboration. It's the Massena and Habring Erwin LAB01, officially the first of the Massena Lab watches. There were two time zone special editions that are almost pre-Massena Lab, but this is officially the first watch under William Massena's collaborative brand marquee. He's a gentleman, he's a friend, he's a true connoisseur, and he loves watches, and you could see the influence of his experience here. The watch is vintage inspired, but modern in fit, finish, and materials. So let's start with the basics, the size. It's bigger than a traditional dress watch, but not much. At 38.5 millimeters in diameter, I measured at 10.6 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 45.9 millimeters with a very versatile 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. So you'll have a lot of OEM and aftermarket options in the 20 millimeter size. Now on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it wears beautifully. When you have a watch that's under 46 millimeters lug to lug, it's a unisex option. A woman can wear this, a man can. It's for collectors who appreciate fine things, but maybe don't have the biggest wrists. And you can see just how far inboard of the edge of my wrist these lugs are, especially from over the top, it's obvious. And the watch is flat enough to fit underneath a dress cuff with that conical bezel, so no problems in that regard. The strap has a lovely texture across the top, and you can see we have differing leather patterns. This has a lovely pressed, sort of grained profile. It's a honey brown, absolutely no crimping, no gouging, a brand new Massena Lab factory strap. And fun fact, this buckle is actually made by an Austrian gunsmith who is a supplier to the Habrings, and it is cool when even your pin buckle has a fun story behind it. Now you can see there's a little bit of tarnish on these bronze surfaces. Bronze is where this watch really departs from the historical prototypes that inspire it. And it's important to note that this is an aluminum intensive bronze. So as you look at the patina forming, you can see it's a gradient from gray to brown. There's none of the green-like patina that becomes a blue dye on your wrist. So this watch over time will begin to look almost like tarnished gold, like a Boscoriale gold effect, a patina on gold that hasn't been touched, whereas a conventional bronze case like a Panerai Bronzo will slowly turn into the wreck of the Titanic with a lot of green crud on it. This is a lot more preferable over time. And also, it preserves a lot of the underlying rosy richness of the bronze. It doesn't change color entirely. The lugs are integrated Calatrava style, and in vintage fashion, you could see they feature strap tool holes, something that you wouldn't find on a modern dress watch, but historically would have been common. Another historical element is the unsigned crown, which is also bronze and actually patinaing at a rate that seems to exceed the case. The patination here, we shall say, is exaggerated. It is a pleasure to wind, a real pleasure. That is a tactile pleasure that's important, too, on a manual wind watch, because you will be interacting with this watch on a daily basis. We have a conical bezel, and you can see there's a little flange abutting the sapphire, which is a nice detail that breaks up the sheer of the conical profile. And then we have the dial. The dial features lovely golden radially arrayed Arabic numerals and a sort of Art Deco font, very simple. Open 6, open 9. We have a scientific or sector style dial drawn from the design of some watches popular in the first third of the 20th century. So you can see how we have the concentric scales, but then we also have different sectors that are broken up by a combination of concentric scales and then these lovely strips of golden index. And of course the three Arabic numerals at center, leaf or fouet style hands, bright polished, and a lancet style seconds hand, which you can see moves in deadbeat or seconde mot fashion. It is a wonderful look. This watch has 2 heartbeats, 1 hertz and 4 hertz. And yes, the better to set it precisely, there is a hacking seconds function. Now the watch is built by Habring of Austria. Richard and Maria Habring, the dynamic duo, they come as a pair. They make watches with components almost entirely sourced from within Austria, and whenever possible, they try to make sure that Austrian provenance and pedigree is manifest on every component, which is why, again, for example, a gunsmith in Austria makes their pin buckle. Now, the basic train design of the movement here and it is the A11 movement. The basic train design, the barrel to the escapement, comes from the 7750, but the fabrication is entirely their own. The bridges, the plates, the wheels, as much as possible sourced inside of Austria. You can see the deadbeat mechanism at center, spooling up and releasing, the spring and the release easily visible. Of course, 21 pivot jewels. We've done away with most of the calendar and chronograph mechanisms of the 7750, hence the 21 jewels, made in Austria. Again, a 4 hertz beat rate with the deadbeat. You hear them both when you place it against the ear. A lot of nice finishing here in contrast, as we have a combination of polished and fire-blued screws, a lovely satination across the center bridge with Habring engraved, engine turning on the base plate. You can see we have some examples of mirrored beveling, which are wonderful, and you can see the highlights really present themselves from different angles, so this rewards repeat and close viewing. And then there's media blast on the base plate. If you look carefully, we also have a lovely gold gilded fine adjustment Triovis regulator, and then the bridge for the anchor below has also been satinated and gold gilded. It's a lovely thing to look at. We have yellow gold, rose gold, blue, silver, and the violet pivot jewels on this case back. And then all of this is water resistant to 50 meters, which is even a little bit more than the dress watch standard of 20 to 30. This is number 33 of 50. I like individual numbering. I don't like when I see 1 of 50 on a watch. And you can see commemorating the collaboration between Habring and Massena Lab right there. The watch is fantastic, classical, and destined to look great 50, 60, 100 years from now. That's the advantage of a time-tested style. How will it patina over time? Well, only time will tell. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.